Hey guys, for today's video, I'm really happy to share with you guys another freehand banner. This one is for the new Warriors of Chaos Wolves of the Sea, and I am beyond happy with how this one came out. Had to actually consult Sam for her opinion. Made some edits to it. I did capture almost all of it. The important part is how I did the non-metallic gold of the wolf and the non-metallic steel of the chaos icon. I don't think I recorded too much of the background vortex, but that one I can cover in a different video. Before I go into detail, what inspired me was the Wolves of the Sea Chaos Army. They seem more like, pirates, marauders, so I had to make sure the banner didn't lean too much into any one god, but at the same time, I wanted to capture, of course, the two main themes. I felt undivided chaos, and of course, wolves, and a little bit of the sea. So the gold wolf, of course, represents, their name. The chaos icon on the back is, of course, for the undivided nature. And then the whole background is supposed to be like a maelstrom. It can either be from the warp, the chaos energies, or the sea. And of course, I put the eye in the center. I'm having a lot of fun painting these eyes, but I think it just really gives such a cool feel, just to the banners. So really happy with how it came out. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the painting tutorial, and hopefully soon you'll see this mounted on an actual Chaos Warrior. Yeah, so we started off with just the basic drawing. I just chose a generic undivided icon, a silhouette of a wolf, and I did have runes up top, which I will not be using, and I'm just showing it's just a generic piece of paper, nothing fancy. The paper actually is very durable once you put paint on it, so don't worry about that. So moving along, the first step is to grab Mephiston Red. And what I do with this step is basically block in the background. You don't have to cover everything in a amazingly solid coat. To be very honest, I probably spent 4 to 5 different layers throughout all the process just putting on the Mephiston Red. The first coat is just there to block in the colors. So once we start painting the wolf and the chaos icon, you kind of have a sense of where things are going, but at the same time, when we're highlighting the icon and the wolf, having at least some of the red there will help you not spill over the other colors. So just take your time with it. The paint here, I think I just grabbed it straight from the pot. You don't have to thin it down. Take your time. The whole painting of this banner honestly only took 2 hours and maybe like 10 to 15 minutes. It's pretty straightforward. So just enjoy the process, guys. So once we finish the Mephiston Red, it'll look like this. As you can see, some parts are kind of still not the most solid color. Don't worry about it. We're gonna grab Abaddon Black from Citadel, and we're just gonna fill in the chaos icon. Now, the reason we're doing the chaos icon first is because the wolf is on top, and it's easier to work from, I would say, the background all the way to the foreground. So just, fill in the chaos undivided icon. Again, up to you which icon you chose. I found one that had 2 inner rings going in it. Very, I think, badass. It is what the chaos undivided icon should look like. And again, just don't rush it. Take your time with it. My sketch is very loose, where you don't have to follow it exactly. Throughout the process, I made some of the triangles longer, sharper, shorter. It's all up to you. Again, this is a guide just for you guys to understand the colors and the basic concept, not follow it, point for point exact. So this is what it looked like once all the Chaos Black is on. As you can see, the banner is already coming together pretty nicely. Um, yeah, so it's all about blocking and colors, guys. You take your time with it. Once we have, you know, everything is dry, grab Dark Reaper, and we're going to start working on the icon. We're only going to highlight it up probably halfway and then jump to somewhere else. I do this because it gets me a general, I guess, point of understanding where I want the light sources to come from and how I want my non-metallic to look like. So you can see, not the best. I didn't realize the camera angle was off, but when you put the Dark Reaper, try to aim for about half of the chaos icon spikes, and just try to visualize like if a light source was actually hitting, um, you know, the spikes. If you need some references, I'd say Google just non-metallic or Google real life photos of metal. The way I approach non-metallic is very fake. I don't try to add, realistic where the light reflections would go. I just do what looks coolest. I think the higher the contrast, the better it'll pop off the table. So this is what it's going to look like. It's very subtle. You can see the Dark Reapers, it's there, and you're slowly getting some more volume into the Chaos icon. Next step we're going to do is grab Ionic skin. I have no idea if I butchered that name. It's just a pale tone, and we're going to fill in the center black blob. This is the beginnings of the Chaos Eye that I like working on. I don't recall if I recorded all of the steps, but I'll try to narrate how I got the effect I wanted to with the eye. So now we're going to grab Rhinox Hide, and now we're going to block in the wolf. When we block in the wolf, you're going to keep it as generic as possible. Again, I don't actually fill in the whole wolf. You're going to see at the end of this clip, there's a little bit of white showing. I just do it enough where I don't know exactly where I want the fur to continue going out and stopping. Just try to block in the for sure 100% areas that will be gold. Yeah, so this is what I mean by some of the white is showing. I'm not sure how much more I want to put in, so just it's all about blocking in colors, guys. Fairly simple. So once we have that done, I'm going to go back to the icon. We're going to grab Thunderhawk Blue. And like I said, highlight all the Dark Reaper areas you had. And, of course, try to leave a little bit of the Dark Reaper bleeding through. If you want, because this is metal, you can add some texture and scratches. You don't need beautiful blends. The beauty of non-metallic is the more texture you can put into it, the more metallic or the more realistic it can look. So there's so many different ways to approach non-metallic. That's how I'm doing it for this project. So yeah, just apply where you think the light's going to be hitting and have fun with it. I think that's the biggest takeaway. This will help you start improving your non-metallic. Again, I'm not aiming for the most beautiful blends, just to give the perception that it's metal. So once the Dark Reaper is done, we're going to grab Rust Gray, and just like the same step before, you're going to highlight the parts you just did, and just focus on adding some texture, scratches, all of that. You're going to really have fun with it. You shouldn't be stressing at this point. Even if this is new to you, this is a good practice. So please, again, don't worry about it. It's going to come all together at the end. To be very honest, it's the final white highlight that brings the whole metal look together. So you can be a little bit rough for most of these highlighting steps, but at the very end, just have a little bit more, brush control. But again, this is just for good practice for anyone who wants to kind of start dipping their toes into non-metallic. So you can already see it coming together. I do stop this phase and I kind of rushed ahead, but you're going to grab Mornfang Brown, and for the, I guess, Golden Wolf, just put it where you can see the outline of the wolf. I know this sounds terrible, some advice, but if you look at what I've done, I've kind of shaped out the head roughly. the mid torso and the hind legs and just some parts like the claws and toes. It is much simpler than it looks. I know it looks like I jumped from step 1 to step 20, but it's very, very straightforward. Then we're going to grab Zemesi Desert and Mornfang Brown. We're going to mix up probably like a 50-50 and start highlighting once again, just like the steel, the parts. Take your time with it. For this gold section, it can still be a bit rough. You don't need, again, smooth blends. None of my paintings have smooth blends. You can get away with just feathering or just layering. So again, I know it sucks to say it, but there's no helpful advice other than try to have a wolf silhouette photo next to you and follow that. I have a small art background, so I can kind of make stuff up on the fly, but just highlight the parts where you think light will hit and just what is visually interesting. My wolf is very unrealistic. I'm just aiming for what will catch a person's attention who is about 4 to 5 feet away. So the next step is to grab Zemesi Desert, and just like before, we're going to highlight again, reduce the amount of area you're using this with, as again, if you cover too much, there was no point of doing the previous step. So never do a step if you're going to cover it up. Take your time with this one. We're about halfway done with the Golden Wolf now. So you shouldn't be stressing. It should be coming together very nicely. And I just covered his butt and like the top half of him. Don't need it to be smooth once again. So this is what the wolf looks like after I finish the Zemesi Desert. He's really coming together. Again, go slow and just do what you feel like is right. Once that's done, we're going to grab Bone White and Zemesi Desert, make it a mix. And for this one, brush control is needed. Start highlighting just the sharper edges. Pardon my hand, I'm still not quite used to the camera trying to capture my painting. So for example, on these sharp fur hair strands, I'm highlighting a good chunk of them. I'm still leaving the previous color below. And for this one, again, you just want to hit focal points that will grab the your opponent's attention or the one looking at the painting. So once that's done, we're going to grab pure Bone White. And again, when you highlight it, just start reducing the amount of area you cover. I believe for this step, I didn't actually highlight everywhere. I started very carefully selecting what edges I wanted to be more pronounced than others. And you can look at it, the wolf definitely is looking quote unquote gold. Not really, but fake non-metallic gold. Just have fun with it again. Take your time. See, I'm going back and forth. I'm putting some spots, taking a step back, looking at it, and then applying more. You guys should be doing the same thing. Once we do that, we go straight to off-white. We're fairly close. I think this is the second to last step. I'm not sure if I recorded the last step, but we're going to use Bone White. And again, select just the sharpest edges we want. I'm zooming in, I guess. So for here, I believe I just cover some of his, I guess top of his foot, some strands of hair, and I think fairly this is what the wolf will turn out. I did miss one step. Once we add the pure white highlight, I do grab a yellow ink glaze and I glaze the whole wolf just to add some more yellow back into the color. So I think the next step for this one is we're grabbing McCraig Blue, and I just kind of throw a pupil into the eye. And you know what? I think this is a step I don't record a lot of it. I basically add Bone White and McCraig Blue, and I start highlighting about half of the iris, and I think I add about 4 to 5 different layers of this. Eventually, you're gonna grab Abaddon Black and just put a slit going down the eyeball. Okay, for this one, I realized why I'm circling the eye. I did it off camera, but I pretty much made a small black glaze and I glazed about half the eyeball down. Fairly simple, about 2 layers. For this next step, I'm going a little bit fast. I grabbed friend Rizzy in gray, and now we're going back to the icon. So I think this is probably the third step before we're done with it, and start highlighting again just the sharper edges. Yeah, this is quite bright, so do take your time with it, especially because the wolf is done at this point. Again, add some texture if you want, but try reducing this a bit more now as we are getting closer to being done. So do not overpower the previous gray steel steps you did. And I believe this is the second to last step. I'm not sure if I did record the last one, but we'll grab blue horror and pure white and just focus on the sharpest edges of the icon. You guys can already see, even at this stage, it really is popping off now. Now, I do recommend for this step, definitely take your time with it. But again, try to, when you use the blue horror, when you highlight the black areas, don't actually outline the whole object. Just highlight the sharp tips. That'll give the impression that the metal is glistening, or the lights bouncing off some of the edges. If you I've seen some people do outline the whole thing. Personally, for me, I do think it detracts from the non-metallic look. And again, you can see me, I'm kind of stippling a little bit too here and there. It just helps give the metal a bit more life and more texture into it. And guys, that's it. Like I said, I did not cover how I did the vortex thing in the back. I do think this guide does cover a lot of the details that are more important, like the gold wolf, the steel icon, and a little bit of the eye. You can use these skills on the actual miniatures or try to do your own banner. I definitely will be making a ton of more freehand tutorials of just various different armies, so you can always, pick up new tips from there. I hope you guys are enjoying these guides. Please comment, like, and subscribe. It does help the channel, and I would love to hear your thoughts about, how the results came out.